Brett Mill Music Company is proud to be part of the music community by bringing you Appalachian Vibes, a show challenging the expectations and highlighting the diversity of music created in the Appalachian region.
I'm your host, Amanda Bakke. My first guest is Catherine the Great. I feel like your songs are more intentional and you really put a lot of effort and focus into making a statement.
I think they run the gamut. I think I definitely started writing songs as a way to process things because I grew up in a house where we didn't really talk about our feelings, I think a lot of boomers, my parents included, just didn't believe in things like therapy and stuff like that, and we weren't allowed to be sad. So for me, music was a space where I could hold that sadness and it was okay and it was even beautiful. But I think as I've gotten older, I've tried to maybe use that craft that I developed for myself at times to write things that are maybe more political or making social commentary, I guess. So the first song that I played, Sins of the Father, I wrote that in 2017 in response to a lot of my kind of white Anglo-Saxon Protestant peers saying this isn't America, in response to the white nationalist violence. And, if you've studied history at all, you know that's literally American history, is that violence, that white supremacist violence. So it was kind of my way of reckoning with, my own family's past as slaveholders, and the ways that even today I still benefit from that history and that privilege, and trying to own that. And it's kind of, I guess, a bitterly sarcastic song.
Everything my grandmother owned was built on blood and sweat and bone, and all her ancestors' brutality. But we've never reckoned for their crimes. We call them victims of their time as we sit on antebellum porches sipping our sweet tea. We say, don't blame us for the sins of our fathers. We bear their names and claim their stolen lands. We've walked through doors they've opened for their daughters, but we never take the chance to make a stand. When the white flag of the war came down, it ended up all over town on the backs of constables and magistrates. And if we didn't march with them, we shook their hands and called them friends. And when they lit their fires, all we did was turn away. But don't blame us for the sins of our fathers. We've left them in our homes and in our beds. We helped them get cleaned up after the slaughter, but we couldn't help it, we were all just kids. These days we mostly stay inside, read all the headlines and cry. This ain't the country that we choose to know. 'Cause we check the right box on the ballot, shake our heads over our salads, complaining all these bad apples, they've really gotta go. But don't blame me for the sins of my father. I've never even tried to draw the line. I may praise the Lord for pardon holy waters, but I won't relinquish what was never mine. Please don't blame me for the sins of my father. Though I bear his name and claim his stolen land, and I I'd never take the chance to make a stand.
There's probably like a dismaying number of songs I've written based on getting mad about what someone says either to my face or on Facebook. It's very much that I don't always have the ability to respond in that moment in the way I would like, so I marinate on it and write a song, and hopefully that has a more lasting impact than like winning the fight in the moment.
I think so. I wonder, do you ever, like when you see these things on Facebook, do you ever respond back like, this is like 6 months later, this is the song I've written in response?
Not necessarily in that way, and sometimes, yeah, and I think sometimes, there are, when we get in debates or we make statements, it's not for the people we're arguing against, it's for everyone watching. So I know very well that there are some minds that will not and cannot be changed, but, a lot of my songs, like about queer struggles, I write those for like the kids in the audience who might be listening who aren't safe to come out for their family. Like, I don't really care about if it makes the grown-ups mad. One of the things that I believe as a music therapist is that songs exist as a container for any difficult emotion or difficult experience, and there's nothing that can't be said in a song, and we all have examples of that, of songs that have touched us that are about things that we can't speak. There's a Mr. Rogers quote, if it's mentionable, it's manageable. And so I think for me that became, if it's singable, it's manageable, because we weren't allowed to talk, but I could write songs about anything. And there were instances where those songs were mishandled, and instead of having a conversation, I got in trouble for them. But I was at least able to express those things, and I think that's remained important to me as a songwriter, where I've never been driven by, success in the commercial sense, but more so, how can I say this thing that's perseverating in my brain, that's keeping me awake at night? How can I get that out and put it in this box and make something ugly and difficult into something beautiful and resonant? And that's kind of my guiding light, whether it's, heartbreak, your standard sad old love songs, or if it's something more, political.
My arm moved before I knew what I'd done. Flash of rage that knocked you down, stunned. Maybe there's some falls that you never get up from. Maybe there's some falls from which you never wake. Maybe there's some falls that you never saw coming. You just had to push me to the break. Made your baby dig your hole in the ground. Jealous man, how's it feel she's mine now? 'Cause maybe there's some falls that turn death into love, babe. Maybe there's some falls that make it all okay. Maybe there's some falls you never get enough of, but I'm just like you, and I'll take and I'll take. We both know that she would have turned around. maybe there's some falls that should have made her snap, but she always answers when I call. When I call. When I My arm moved before I knew what I'd done.
Fret Mill Music Company is Southwest Virginia's premier destination for quality acoustic instruments and accessories since 1979. We stock new, used, and vintage instruments, including acoustic, electric, and bass guitars, effects, amplifiers, ukuleles, mandolins, banjos, and more. Come check out our selection today. Fret Mill Music Company is excited to offer you Strung Out Sundays. Every Sunday from 11 to 4, receive one free restring with your purchase of a set of strings.
Each week, Appalachian Vibes highlights 3 artists from Appalachia and surrounding communities. You can hear Appalachian Vibes segments Wednesday through Friday at noon, Saturday at 8 a.m., and Sunday at 6 p.m. If you're just joining me, my guest is Catherine the Great.
My twin sister and I had a band in middle school, and we had written, I think Emily had written this song, but I sang and played guitar in the band, so I sang the words. And it had basically been inspired by like meeting someone who self-harmed and kind of writing her story, and had some kind of vivid imagery about that, about like blood and stuff. And so we played it for this talent show audition. We're feeling really good. And then like the teacher and my mom were like, you can't sing about that. You have to pick a different song. And no one was like, let's sit down and talk about this. Like, what made you want to sing about, you know, it was really an opportunity for growth and maybe some honest conversations. And as someone who works with kids, you know, now, my sister and I, she's a teacher as well, we're like, that was really mishandled in a way that was deeply harmful going forward. We did like a Weezer cover instead, and it was like, everyone was like, okay, this is fun, this is great, you know? Yeah, so it was the wrong message there, but fortunately it did not dissuade me from honesty in my songs. It just maybe a little more conscious about the audience.
I found that people don't really listen to lyrics, and I could pretty much say whatever I wanted in a song, and people wouldn't, like my mom would be like, what a nice song.
Well, one thing that my mom said once, she was like, I'm afraid that people will hear your songs and think I'm a bad mother. Yeah. And you know, the real issue was my dad, but
Right.
Yeah, it was definitely like that. I think it's, you know, kind of a boomer wasp thing where like it's all about appearances, right? And so you have these like primal wounds that never get the chance to heal, and they have to be cleaned out to heal, right? So I think the music and the songwriting can be a space for that, you know, and I definitely have some songs about my family and my parents and my childhood that I think do that a little bit, but they make people cry sometimes. But I firmly believe that there are no bad tears. I think of Out of Towner as kind of like my like solo project statement of intent, I guess, or like a creed. I don't know. I grew up going to Presbyterian church, so we said a lot of creeds. But, you know, for the first like 10 years of being a songwriter and playing music, I played with my twin. And then after college, we kind of like, you know, packed up those dreams away and moved to different states and got different jobs. So I think of this song as kind of about, you know, my journey as a person and kind of as a solo songwriter instead of part of a duo. Especially the line, like, you know, I've got a face that people can't remember, basically. And when you're a twin, like, people remember you as a twin, but not necessarily as an individual. So just navigating the world, like, by myself, basically, for the first time at, like, 22 years old, was difficult, but also, I think, I'm a much better person and songwriter for it. And she's doing, like, a rad, like, pop, punk, emo, indie solo project now. You know, that's very true, actually, to the music we made as like 14-year-olds, but playing, you know, electric guitar with drums and bass in the band. And I've always been a folk singer. Even from like 7th grade, I was writing little country songs, but there wasn't a place for them in the act we had. So it was kind of like all that stuff that I kind of pushed aside to like be in like the rock band finally had a home.
Well, I've lived a couple places. See, I've got one of them faces people can't recall the second time around. But I hope that they'll remember all the ashes and the embers of the words that I left burning on this rough and rocky ground. I've been told a time or two that I can be a downer. No one's ever pulling for the out-of-towner. I got good at seeing since I never could believe in what seemed so easy to everyone else. A silent observer waiting for that world turner to reach on out and do something to show me itself. If he could walk on water, well, I guess that I'm a drowner, sinking in a sea of all these other out-of-towners. I know well from lonely, but I've never been the only one who thinks themselves so damn misunderstood. A couple plaintive voices made a couple painful choices to come together and make something coming close to good. So head on down the road and leave this city as you found her. Another 100 miles, then we'll just be out of towners.
How do you feel being queer has impacted songwriting for you, or even the realm of being a musician?
Being a musician, one thing that I just noticed as far as like the difference of my experience, which frustrates me and angers me, is that like as someone who presents more like masculinely or androgynously, that my peers who present more femininely get a lot more like flack. They're still surprised that I can like actually play guitar, but it's very much like the energy I think is much more like bro-y, because that's kind of my energy, I guess. Like I get called Sir at Kroger, you know, like that kind of energy. It's like man bun hipster energy is more how I'm perceived.
Girls like me, we don't get happy endings on the page or on the stage or on the screen. We're sentenced to the shadows, and we hide out under darkness, unheard, unfelt, unseen. Girls like me can get a little lonely when the hours of silence drag on for too long. 'Cause when your day-to-day is a word that they won't say, it's hard to think they'll miss you when you're gone. But I'll do good for goodness sake, 'cause you said it yourself, God don't make mistakes. Girls like you, they keep it on the inside, 'cause a secret is the one thing they won't take. And those men don't deserve your time, your smile, your words. heart of stone or glass breaks just the same. Girls like you, they're quick to righteous anger, always standing up to fight for someone else. When the flood comes in, when the house burns down, you're saving everybody but yourself. You were kind for kindness sake, and you let me believe God don't make mistakes. Girls like us, we're used to being punchlines. See, we're lucky we don't leave body bags. Oh, it's easier to joke when you don't want to cope with things that you don't care to understand. Girls like us don't want none of your pity. We don't need empty-handed apologies. We just want the right to live under the light, standing tall, walking proud, and being free. We will love for loving's sake, 'cause you said it yourself, God don't make mistakes. You said it yourself, God don't make mistakes.
Fretmill Music Company is now open 7 days a week to cater to all of your musical needs. Our hours are Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, and 11 to 4 Saturdays and Sundays. Wanting a new instrument? Fretmill Music Company offers trade-ins, layaways, and credit options. In the month of February, get approved for a Synchrony credit card and receive a $100 Visa prepaid card by mail.
You're listening to Appalachian Vibes on 101.5.
I'm Jason Farlow, and I am the singer-songwriter frontman for the Last Real Circus. We are based out of Richmond, Virginia, here in RVA.
Tell me a little bit about the style of your music.
Well, we've self-labeled ourselves as Southern indie rock. We have a lot of different musicians in this group. Everyone just kind of brings their own style to this band. So while I might write the melody or the catch or the hook, it's really these guys and girls who come on and they put their parts onto it and they make it their own. And then we as a band then make that element, the song itself, our own, which is kind of hard to put in one genre.
Is that why you're called the Last Real Circus?
I always know that they just have all these different acts. And for us, that's kind of where I wanted to go with the band. I didn't want fans and people to come see just one main genre. You know, I like people getting a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of alternative, folk and pop even. And, you know, sometimes it's just downright storytelling. And, you know, we're a bunch of different acts in one band.
She stayed out all night under the stars, running from life in a beat up car. How the hell did I get here? She screamed out loud where no one could hear. of my own. I drove 1,000 miles away just to sit here on this throne. How she said, lay me down in sheets of lead now. Yeah, write your name up on my wall. Tell me all your little secrets, baby. I will catch you when you fall.
If you're just joining me, my guest is Jason Farlow from the Last Real Circus. That song was called Chaplin's Life.
I was the youngest of 3 older brothers. We just grew up in that kind of rough, tough, brotherly love together. And I got beat up so much that eventually I ended up joining the Army after college. I was in there for, a couple years, 6-7 years, and deployed, did a couple deployments. And then basically once I got out of the Army, I started my own business, thinking about marketing, went into the corporate world. That's kind of what led me up to DC. But yeah, then from there, I just said, corporate world is not for me. It's not what's really making me happy in life. There was a lot of stuff that was going on my back end as well, personally. I had a cousin, had 2 cousins actually, who have both been stabbed and murdered to death, which is kind of like a weird thing for, I think, someone to say and process and go through. I've lived a lot of lives and lived a lot of stories. I definitely think that music has helped me process a lot of the stuff that I've personally gone through.
Hit west about the age of 18. Said she couldn't stay here to stay clean, saying she's all broke, lost in the smoke. She was counting loose change from her pocket, hoping she could get a buck for a locket that she held close. A memory of a ghost, going fast here to nowhere. Yeah, playing the good girl on your own. Acting like you don't know me. Yeah, but I guess you found a home. I Yeah, you walk a straight line, so you think you're better off today. Yeah, you're doing okay, playing out in the big leagues. Yeah, thinking that you almost made a home, but you're all alone. But I know that you think that I think that everything's gonna be alright. I don't want anyone but you. I don't want anyone but you. She got a whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love to give me. Says she's got a whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love to give me. Ah, yeah. Whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love to give me. Says she got a whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love to give me. Says she got a whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love to give me. Ah, yeah. Whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love, whole lot of love to give me. Ah, yeah.
Make a purchase from Fret Mill Music Company and show your receipt at Crescent City Barbecue in downtown Roanoke for 10% off brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. Also, if you bring your Crescent City Barbecue receipt into Fret Mill, you will receive 10% off of your purchase. Restrictions apply.
I'd like to know a little bit more about the stories behind the music.
Individual songs are definitely written about people I've been in love or thought I've been in love with over the course of my life.
So, are you in love?
Oof, I'm in love with music. I'm in love with my dog Koala, and I don't think I'm in love with, anything else other than that right now besides my daughter. There's people I love that are very dear, but as far as a romantic love and that feeling being there for someone, I think I'm still waiting for everybody to. I think I'm still waiting for that something to come along, and I definitely have a friend of mine, a partner of mine. She has always been my rock ever since I've met her. Actually, ever since I've started this endeavor. She is actually who I wrote Diana about originally, one of the songs on the EP. Her name's Jessica, and we've been the best of friends, and we've had our ups and downs and our breakups and our get back togethers, like I'm sure everybody has. And through it all, she's definitely been a person who has been a solid in my life and will continue to be one. She is a Diana, and most people are asking, well, her name's not Diana, it's Jessica. And
you're referring to the goddess, right?
Yeah, well, in theory, I'm actually referring to Wonder Woman.
Oh.
I like Marvel. I like all
Who's
those
named
comic
for the
strips.
goddess?
Yeah, who's named for the goddess. There you go. Yep. So yeah, that's where I got. Her nickname used to be. I used to call her Wonder Woman. And then when I was writing the song, I was just like, I'm gonna call it Diana, like Princess Diana. So,
Hopefully
but
not with the same tragic ending.
yeah, not that one. I was just thinking like in the one. Yeah. Oh, geez, it'd be so bad.
Searching for answers, I rarely find clues. But when it comes to love, she's all I need. And out on the road, I long to explore to the place she was once before. Ooh la la la, ooh la la la. Ooh la la la, ooh la la. And there was a time when I was a believer, where she stole my heart, my soul, and every little thing that I own. Ooh la la la, ooh la la la. Ooh la la la, ooh la la. I don't know where she'll go, or who she will change. She stole the beat in my heart, my love, she did say. All the time singing, ooh la la la, ooh la la. Ooh la la la, ooh la la la, yeah. Ooh la la la, ooh la la. Ooh la la la, ooh la la.
Being a single guy in his 30s, really only focused on music right now. I don't think one of my things is to look for is love. I kind of wish it would happen if it does happen, naturally. But yeah, I'm not really searching anymore. I think I've tasted it a little, and and I've either loved it or hated it, and now I'm just kind of focused on the music, the band.
Yeah, that's often how manifestation happens though, right? You you don't focus on it, but you put that intention out there and then it comes to you. That's my
Oh,
experience
absolutely.
anyway.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even the EP itself, entitled 1111, I do see that number twice a day, if not more. Like on the back of barcodes or serial numbers or whatever. But sometimes, ironically, I will see that number 1111 pop up, and in that moment, what I'm thinking about, I am trying to manifest in my life. I actually think that's like the universe and the moons and the planets and the stars aligning to tell me, hey, look, this is what you need to be focused on right now in this moment. And hey, if my thought is, taking the dog for a walk, well, you know what? Maybe I haven't taken the dog for a walk. I'm gonna go take her for the best walk, she's had. And, but in some of those, a lot of those moments, it is writing, or it's, thinking about, oh man, I'd love to be, doing this again, all of a sudden, and 2 months later, man, there it is. Like I actually made that happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that stuff. And I think people should definitely manifest what they want in life. They should ask for it, demand it.
Yeah, I'm not exactly a religious person. I am a pretty spiritual person, but there are some aspects of the Bible that I really like. And one is the line, or everything to me is a lyric. That one line in the Bible, I'm sure it's a verse, where God says you have not because you ask not. And I think that's kind of the idea behind manifestation. What you think about, you create. So if you're focused on all of the problems, then rather than their solutions, then you create more problems, because your thoughts become words, become actions, become reality. So I'm wondering if you can share with everybody, what is the spiritual significance of those numbers?
For me, there's something that represents like an intuition about your future in those numbers. There's like some sort of balance and fairness, like in your life. I don't know. It is a number that just for me represents something that you can take ownership of.
You can check out the Last Real Circus's latest live performance at In Your Ear Studios in Richmond. You're listening to Appalachian Vibes on 101.5 The Mountain. My next guest is Emily Musolino.
There was always kind of music around. My mom sang a lot. She's one of 5 sisters, and they would sing a lot in church and just around the house just for fun. And my dad was always playing, he liked like disco music and stuff like Donna Summer and the Village People and stuff like that. But I was really shy. Like I still kind of am kind of introverted and I'm weird. I have to like flip a switch to turn it on to play on stage. But back then it was really, really bad. So I would seriously just go to school every day, and I had my Walkman with the headphones, and I wouldn't talk to anybody, and I would just listen to music all day. Really was kind of like my only friend for a while. Like, and so it sounds kind of sad, but I came out of my shell later on in high school and started, really making some friends. But before I could do that, it was all just about the music. And so I had this huge collection of CDs. My parents would buy me CDs for Christmas, and I just had this giant book of CDs that I would carry around. It's amazing that any of them worked, because I'm so bad about like tearing stuff up. Like, I mean, anything that I have, like guitars, cars, clothes, like I just kind of live a pretty rough and tumble type of life.
You kind of do, don't you? But you're becoming more delicate. You're baking and gardening.
Well, I mean, okay, let me back up. Like, getting sober, stopping drinking really helped with that.
Silver dancing in the breeze, moonlight through the trees, and sparkling skies above. Music drifting through the night and holding you so tight, my one and only love. Oh, I never felt so high, so very satisfied every time we make love. I get a little bit closer. Oh, your melody is in my head. Sometimes words escape me. You're so beautiful. Walking circles in the clouds, my feet can't find the ground, but I
it really came along with all the social awkwardness. Like, I would drink to try to be more open socially and fit in and whatever. And when I was in high school and college, there wasn't a red flag because everybody in my circles was kind of doing it like that, kind of bingy, kind of unhealthy, but that's what everyone was doing. But I remember specifically, like, the week I turned 21, it was like, okay, now I don't have to ask anybody to go get alcohol. I can just get it. And so pretty much that whole first week of my 21st birthday, I was like drunk. And then that turned into like the whole month of my 21st birthday. And then that was when Four Loko still had all of the caffeine and the horrible stuff in it, as well as all the alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I drank like 4 or 5 of those in one day and almost died and almost got alcohol poisoning. And then I walked out into the living room and was talking to my roommates and was like, hey, I think I might have an alcohol problem. And all of them were like, yeah, we were gonna, so I'm glad you came to us because we were gonna have to come to you if you didn't come to us.
I thought we had a connection. Damn, girl, no, you gotta go on. A little love and affection. Yeah, girl, that's all that I want. I got time, but not too much of it, and I don't want to be wasting it. Your amber eyes, they got me feeling it. And I just burn, 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 burn. I just burn, 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 burn. I just burn, 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 burn. I just burn, 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 burn. You're playing ashes to ashes, stone colder than a fire. Girl, don't go playing with matches. If you won't strike it on the fire, I won't wait forever and a day. And I can't stand the games you play. But when I turn my head, well, now you're looking away. And I just burn, 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 burn. I just burn, 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 burn. I just burn, 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 burn. I just burn, burn, burn. And I just burn, 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 burn. I just burn, 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 burn. And I just burn, 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 burn.
Wanting a new instrument? Fretmill Music Company offers trade-ins, layaways, and credit options. In the month of February, get approved for a Synchrony credit card and receive a $100 Visa prepaid card by mail. Every Saturday, Fretmill Music Company features a different guitar of the week from our store. It will be 10% off for that week only, so come and get it before it's gone. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram to be in the know regarding all our specials.
I just started dating my partner, Lizzie. You know, she would talk to her mom about it, and her mom would be like, well, it's not me that thinks homosexuality is wrong, it's the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like where the seed was planted. And then I played this festival called the Wild Goose Festival, which is a really amazing festival, but they also call it the Wild Owl Festival because it's primarily old white lesbians. You know, so it's awesome. It's out in the mountains near Asheville, and it's beautiful. And but I didn't know that it was also like loosely Christian. But these are a completely different type of Christian to what I was just talking about. They're like super liberal, really queer, really open, accepting of everybody. And so I was like, all right, you know, we're here for the weekend. It's gorgeous. I'm just gonna keep my mind open and listen to what some of these people had to say. And so this preacher got up and he was just talking about the shame that started with Adam and Eve way back in the day in the garden, the shame of knowing that they were naked. They had no shame before, but then after, you know, the sin and the apple, whatever, the shame came in. And so many of us are dealing with the shame to this day. And it really spoke to me.
Born out of eternity and into time, tiny cuts from daggers shooting from your eyes, silent disapproval, hope that you'll get right with God. She's the only lover who has shown me grace. Sorry to show up and rub it in your face, but before you call her name to wallow in your shame, did you stop to ask your daughter if she's happy? It's enough to make your mind flip over backwards when the preacher's selling water to the well, and the people pointing fingers at your happiness and joy are so ever-loving miserable. So judge not, lest you be judged. Who are you to speak for God? Who are you to speak for God? People show their colors when they see your light, fabricating differences and starting fights. Gabrielle and Juliet lying nude and unashamed. Can't you just be happy for us for a while? She's the only person left who makes me smile. Silent disapproval, hope that you'll get right with God. It's enough to make your mind flip over backwards when the preacher's selling water to the well, and the people pointing fingers at your happiness speak for God? Who are you to speak for God? Who are you to speak for God?
Appalachian Vibes is brought to you by Fretmill Music Company, your premier acoustic instrument destination.
Each week on Appalachian Vibes, 3 artists share their songs and the stories that inspired their art. Tune in to The Mountain on 101.5 Wednesday through Friday at noon for the Appalachian Vibes segments, and Saturday at 8 a.m. and Sunday at 6 p.m. for the full hour.
Intro and outro music created by Caleb Michael Secchi.